Well, hello, and welcome to a special edition of the Forest Park Podcast. My name is Luke Austin. I serve as worship pastor, and today is our first episode in a series that we're of interviews where we're going to meet the band. So many of you always ask me after worship, hey, who was that guy that played the organ? Who was the drummer? Who was the guitarist? There was a great solo, but I have no idea who they are and their connection to our church. So hopefully this will unveil the mysteries of who are behind the instruments. And today I'm so excited to welcome the master himself, Nick Mosley. He's our pipe organist, our pianist, our genius accompanist, a brilliant violist, sometimes bass player. You did that?
Wasn't planning on that, but yeah.
This summer. He's sung backup vocals once or twice. He's played percussion. He's philosophically really helped shape a lot of the worship ministries and the direction that Forest Park Worship Ministries especially has taken. He's cared and shepherded our people well, really pastored our people through just the life of worship that he lives in a God-honoring way and a lot more. It's an honor to be his friend and to have served with him for almost 7 years.
I think we're going into year 8.
We're getting, this is just that. So it's the incomparable, inconceivable, never forgettable Nick Mosley. Thank you so much for being here. Did you like that introduction?
That was quite the introduction. Well done.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been going on year 8 for us, because I was here in July of 2014. And then we hired you that fall, right? So
that fall, I think it was like October or November.
Yeah, so we're coming up. That's just amazing. Yeah. So I thought first we'd ask some rapid fire questions just to get to know you, some details about you, so we can kind of construct who you are, and then we'll get into some meaningful discussion and dialogue about you as an instrumentalist and corporate worship. So first off, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Hackley Hospital, Muskegon, Michigan.
Michigan, you're a local boy.
Yep. Born and raised in Norton Shores, Mona Shores graduate. Have lived most of my life in the Muskegon, West Michigan area. Farthest I ever got was Kalamazoo, I guess, during college.
Whoa.
Yes.
way out there. Are your parents still living?
Yep.
And
yep.
What are
my
they doing?
parents live right down the road on Henry Street here. My dad is the store manager of the Rescued Treasures store up on Sherman here, and my mom is retired and spends a lot of time doing babysitting for both my niece and also my kids sometimes.
Full-time grandmother.
Absolutely.
That's a great job. Where do you work and what do you do at your job?
So my full-time job is I teach orchestra at Mona Shores Middle School. Love it. So I've got 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade students every day that are walking through my room with lots of energy. I've been there, started there the summer right before I started playing here as well. So
all right.
This is now my 8th year there and my 18th year, if you can believe that, of teaching. Yes, I'm at the point now where we sit in a staff meeting and you look around and you go, who are all these kids in the room now, and you go, wait a minute, when did I become one of the more senior members on this
I'm seasoned.
staff?
I'm just seasoned.
Yeah, I like that. Seasoned. That's
seasoned.
better, yes.
It's been many seasons.
So,
all right.
yeah, that's where.
Any new ventures in directing for you?
So, yes, I have taken on an extra position. I'm now directing the Shoreline Community Orchestra, which is just getting started back up after COVID.
Way cool.
And so, yeah, it's a community group, all just people who love playing, adults, everyone from probably age 22 or so up into their 70s or 80s. And we get together once a week on Monday nights out at Muskegon Community College and play some music. So
the community college. It's
an upcoming concert season here that we're
very
preparing
exciting.
for.
And you are the new director.
Yes, I was the person that was gullible enough to take that on. I think it might
you mean blessed enough.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun so far. Middle schoolers are fabulous, but there's something to be said for hanging out with adults once a week as well.
Absolutely, probably helps
making
center
music.
You a little bit.
It does a little bit. Yeah, they listen to me a lot better than middle schoolers.
I can't imagine.
They pay attention to everything I say.
What?
I don't have to repeat myself a bunch of times. No,
that doesn't sound right.
it's been a lot of fun so far. So
Good,
yes,
I'm
between
glad.
that and school and church activities, and I am not lacking for anything to do.
You're making a lot of music.
sure.
Yeah, a full schedule. Where did you go to college, and what degrees did you get?
So my undergraduate was at Western Michigan University in
Western
Kalamazoo.
All right.
I knew that I wanted to be a music teacher.
You did? Okay, that was one of my questions.
Yeah. So I was always that music kid. I enjoyed sports and did lots of activities, but this isn't answering the college question, but I guess we could start from I started playing piano when I was 5. Growing up, my piano teacher was our church organist.
All right.
And so the story my mom would tell you was that my older sister actually had started piano lessons. She's 2 years older than me. And she was coming home from piano lessons, basically kind of sitting down and showing me whatever she had learned. And so my mom called up her piano teacher, a church organist, and said, well, would you be willing to teach lessons to Nick? And she said, well, I don't know if I've really ever started anyone quite as young as 5, but I'd be willing to give it a try, sure. And so we started, and it worked. It took off.
Wow.
My sister will tell you today, too, that she's also the reason that she quit piano lessons.
We've all had those teachers, hasn't we?
Yeah, well, no, that I'm the reason.
Oh, you're the reason.
I'm the reason that my sister quit piano lessons because she didn't like it when her younger brother was starting to correct her mistakes.
That's an F sharp.
She didn't take kindly to that from the other end of the
rivalry.
house when I was doing that. She did. I mean, she played flute and stuff. She was involved in music as well, but
Gotcha.
She didn't like her younger brother correcting her. But yeah, so I went to Western Michigan University as a music education major. My main instrument was organ, which putting organ with music education is a little odd because as a music ed major, you're of course, training to be an orchestra band choir teacher,
Right.
probably in a school setting. So I also played bassoon in the bassoon studio.
Oh my.
And then was able to play that in the concerts, in the band, in the orchestra. So got lots of experience there. Ended up ultimately with a double major in both music education and in organ performance.
Okay.
Ultimately, it was just a few extra classes and some continued study through my junior and senior year on organ, which I planned to really do anyways, put on a senior recital. So I'm glad that I ended up doing that in the end, coming out with the double major.
Yeah. And you always knew that you were going to be a teacher. That blows me away. Given your level, your skill level of performance, teaching was always in the plan.
Believe it or not, I don't really like to practice that much. Although I've grown as
kids. He's just kidding.
No. As I've grown older and I don't have time to practice. When I do find time to practice, it is more enjoyable. But I didn't want to be that person who was spending 4, 5, 6 hours or more
a day
in a practice room.
Right.
I couldn't quite do that. I'm very fortunate that I'm lucky that I have natural talent and I can get away with it sometimes.
You can fudge a little bit.
But and I guess the other piece of it is making a living as a performing musician. Very, very difficult to do.
Absolutely.
And I had wise teachers who, made me aware of that. And I do the same, even with students that I, have had through the years that are interested in music. Hey, if you want to be a performer and you want to study that, I never want to discourage that. But ultimately, are you going to get a job in the Chicago Symphony Orchestra playing cello? Only if you're really lucky. I mean, you got to be really good, and there has to be an opening, and that's just, those jobs are few and far between.
Sure.
So teaching is a way to be able to experience that music every day and make a living.
Right.
And I definitely, I don't know that I could say in high school that I had a love for teaching, but I do now, absolutely.
Sure.
That's it's my ministry. I mean, in many ways, that's I go to school, and it's my job to make sure that students know that someone cares about them, someone loves them.
Yes.
And that hopefully they get a love of music too. They enjoy being a part of the team, and getting to learn a new skill, playing an instrument.
Hopefully what we think is an amazing skill.
Absolutely.
A lifelong skill that everyone should learn.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing in churches?
Well,
you said
probably ever since I was 5.5.
Okay, so your church organist was the
So
teacher.
As a regular Sunday musician, so I mentioned my piano teacher was our church organist. She also had an electronic organ in her home, so it was a natural thing to every once in a while just say, "Hey, I wonder if you could just play that piano piece on the organ. Let's see what that might sound like there." And so kind of
she tricked you.
She had been the church organist for many, many years, probably 30 plus years. That was her ministry in the church. But she knew that somebody was going to need to take over that ministry at some point too.
Yes, we will all be eventually replaced.
Yeah. So she's there are a couple of us students of hers that she kind of sparked the organ interest as well. So I ended up, I think I was probably 15, if my memory serves me correctly.
Okay.
It's probably when I started being the regular every Sunday organist at church.
That sounds about right. I think I was
couldn't
middle
drive
school or
myself
first high
there
school.
yet.
Yeah.
For a little while,
Same.
my parents would have to drive me to church early on Sunday mornings, so I could do whatever practice and everything.
Okay, so 14, 15, somewhere around in that range.
Yes,
All right.
yeah, probably 15.
And what denomination were you before you became a convert to the amazing, beautiful mosaic of the Evangelical Covenant Church?
So I grew up in the Baptist church,
realm,
Lakeside Baptist Church here in Muskegon. It was my family's church home, my grandparents' church home. A lot of members of my extended family grew up and attended that church.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. And I was also involved in some things at Forest Park, like youth group, for example. I was a Wally Coots
youth guy.
kid.
All right.
In high school, I came here and I went on a couple mission trips and a retreat or two, if I recall.
So you go all the way back with Forest Park. So
I guess I do a little
20,
bit.
20 plus years.
Yeah, that just means I'm old.
No. It just means that you had a connection. That's really cool for us to know that you were a Wally Coots kid and had deep roots in Forest Park.
Yeah. So it does go back a ways. And I think there are a lot of similarities between the general important beliefs between the Baptist Church and the Evangelical Covenant.
Quite a few
things that I would
crossovers,
say that are really important and matter, those core principles, we definitely agree on.
Yes, absolutely. So it was a soft and easy transition to move. It wasn't kind of
no.
Good. Well, I'm glad. I'm really glad to know that. I know that our people are wanting to tell us about your family. So how long have you been married to Maggie?
I have Maggie and I got married in 2006, so we celebrate our 15-year anniversary this past summer.
All right. Where did y'all meet?
We met at Maranatha.
Maranatha, really?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. So
right down the road.
Yeah, it's funny how everything gets connected that way, isn't it? But so we met at Maranatha. I had been I got started at Maranatha because my older sister, once upon a time, worked there, and she was involved in the children's ministry and the retreat ministry and lots of different aspects over the years there. I was involved in a little bit of children's ministry initially there, and then did some music ministry. And then I guess it would be in my later college years and kind of right after graduating, I did some helping out with organizing, managing the front desk.
You've done everything at Maranatha. My goodness.
Yeah. So
you know all the ins and outs. Did you cook too?
I never worked in the kitchen.
Never worked in the kitchen.
I never washed a dish even. Yes. So I was actually managing the front desk that summer when I was introduced to this other Maranatha worker who had Maggie had worked a couple summers there, as live-in, lived on ground staff.
Okay.
She wasn't that summer. She had just graduated from college, but late in the summer when all the college kids go back, the staff gets a little thin, and so you start reaching out to other people who might be able to come out and just work for a couple weeks or something to help out. So she came in and filled in and helped at the front desk for a couple weeks. So
proximity.
Actually, I was technically her boss when I asked her out
Scandal.
on her first date.
Scandal.
So I knew that she wasn't scheduled to work at least on that evening. So if there was going to be a no, it couldn't be. I'm sorry, I have to work anyway.
You set it up so that she couldn't say no.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. And 15 years later, y'all have 2 kids?
We have 2 kids, Alexander and Eliana. Alexander is 11, Eliana is 9, so they're in 5th and 4th grade. They're happy to be back in school, although they wouldn't tell you that every day. They're certainly do I have to go to school this morning, or I don't want to go to school? Yes, you're going to school.
Right.
But Alexander's now, where we live in Grand Haven, so they have a 5th, 6th grade building, so he's moved to the intermediate school. Start doing a little bit of changing classes and stuff at the beginning of the middle school stages of things. He will be starting in a couple weeks here in orchestra. He's going to learn to play the cello.
Oh, good for him.
Yes, he gets a choice, but he may have some strong influence from his father in that. We've done a little experimenting and having fun with it already. So he's pretty excited for that, I think.
There's something amazing about having your kids play an instrument. As a dad, I teach our older 4 piano, and Chaz is doing drums, and I just, on one hand, like, you're not awesome at this yet, and you F sharp, like you said with your sister, I call them out, and then the other hand, you're just so proud that they're taking in interest in any music, and it's such a blessing to be a parent in those moments. It's just really cool thing. You feel that way as a dad?
Absolutely, yeah. It's been fun getting him a cello and getting him started on that, and Eliana plays the violin as well. She's
2-string player.
She started a few years ago, actually. She's taken some private lessons, not from me. I can teach 5th grade beginners how to play string instruments, but she would have been 6 probably when she started, 6 or 7.
Okay,
that's a little different when they're younger.
Sure.
And there's sometimes the whole
was it the Suzuki Method? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Play what you hear. Yeah.
A fabulous teacher in town who does Suzuki style teaching too.
Right.
So she's been going on that for a little years. So we had a few days this summer where we had kind of orchestra class at home. And they've not seen. I don't think my kids haven't really seen me in that role as orchestra teacher. I mean, they see me play music, but they don't know exactly what that is that I do at school necessarily. So we set up a little orchestra at home, and I pulled out the beginning 5th grade books and said, okay, here we go. Well,
let's get after it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. That's so fun to open up stuff and just let them go.
Yeah.
How have y'all handled the transition going in COVID from going virtual and then back to in person? Are you anything you're noticing about your weekly rhythms, especially since school started?
Oh, it's just ridiculously busy.
Is it
busy? Does
it feel way busier than earlier? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all learned in COVID. We all went like, oh, hey, let's calm down. Let's not be busy. Let's have some, and that was a really good thing, I think, for a lot of people to realize, maybe I don't need to be so busy. And now, I mean, part of me questions, like, did we learn anything? Because we're right back at that super busy, we've got dance classes going on, and we're at church on Wednesday nights it's just like every day of the week, it seems like there's something, if not multiple somethings that, we're going to.
Yeah.
That said, I mean, they're all good things that we want to be involved in too, and we're excited to be able to be involved in them. I see the same thing at school with students too. I mean, they're so excited to be able to be a part of all those activities that maybe stopped happening.
Yep.
But at the same time, all of a sudden you go, I have absolutely zero downtime.
The schedule
now,
is full.
Yeah.
Schedule.
Yeah.
So a little bit about your faith journey. So you grew up in the Baptist church, obviously. When did you decide that Jesus was for you? As in, I'm a believer. I'm placing my faith, and my identity is rooted in Christ. I'm going to have a Christian family. Was there a time in your life that just became a reality for you?
I think there's probably... mean, there's multiple times in a way. I know that sounds kind of weird, but
No, not at all.
you know, growing up in a Christian family, you know, went to church from the day I was born. You know, I didn't know anything different than that. And I'm thankful for that. You know, my parents can point to, well, you know, I think you were 3 years old when you know, asked Jesus into your heart. Okay. To be honest, I can't say that I have a recollection of that,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
But absolutely, I believe that he did. I think about, you know, there were times in, you know, as a kid, probably, you know, in high school, you know, I think about some of those mission trips, for example, you know, those are times when you just kind of, you have that, maybe that moment, that time of rededicating or going, okay, I'm told that this is what I believe. This is what I've been taught that I should believe. Are those really my own beliefs? Yeah, I think they are. You know, and just you have that prayer and kind of say, okay, I want to really live this out. You stumble. It doesn't always continue to happen all the way through, you know.
But Christ has always been real for you, even in the rebellious times.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I ever rebelled. But,
okay, I'm sorry.
No.
I rebel all the time.
I am human, absolutely. No, you know, I think there's just there's definitely been those times where I've kind of just I've tried to stop what I'm doing, what I'm worried about, what I'm focused about, and say, okay, God, I'm your will, you know. I don't know what that is. I need to stop trying to trying to act and, you know, make all that. You just stop, you know. And there have been those times. Anytime there's been something, you know, kind of that bigger life event. Every job I've ever had, every career transition I've ever had, I feel like they aren't things that I was necessarily seeking out. They were things that all of a sudden came about. Yeah. And I can always later look in the rearview mirror and go, that was totally a God thing. Totally a God thing. I didn't, you know, it was nothing that I did. I never, you know, never would have even known, you know, whatever the case may be. Like, you could say, okay, God did that. Yep. Definitely.
So it was so him.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many pieces there's so many things that I have learned about and come aware of now that I never would have 20 years ago thought that would be part of my life. Yeah. And now I wouldn't give them up for the world.
That's awesome, man. So he's just continually revealed himself and shown his presence and shown his leading. Yeah. Even when you weren't looking for it.
Yeah.
Are there any things that you and Maggie do as you raise your kids in the faith? Specifically, I have a parenting game plan for intentional faith and teaching them about their relationship with God, or encouraging that?
I'll be the first one to admit that we don't do enough of that, probably. You know, I mean, we don't. It's part of the business of life. There's that's one of those things that we absolutely have every intention of. We try to, you know, but the reality is gosh, we sometimes feel like we're busy, and then we question, are we doing that or not? You know, I guess. I mean, we've made intentional decisions to commit to being more involved in church in some ways. You know, I mean, there was a transition time, you know, when I first started playing the organ here. My family had been previously plugged in a different church and, you know, and involved there and liked it, you know. So for a while there, we were kind of a two-church family. You know, we were still doing family stuff at that church, but I was playing here. And there's been a process, but, you know, we now have arrived at that point where we're like, you know what, we like everything that Forest Park has done. We love the people here. We love the ministries here. And so this is where we're coming on Sundays. Where, you know, last year, I guess it was, we started making sure we're coming regularly on Wednesdays. And so relying on the church to also be the partner in that. And that's been huge, and I mean, we're very thankful for the things that the church offers.
Good.
And that reward too. Good. You know.
Well, so Pastor Justin and Elaine will be very happy to know that they feel partnering with your family in raising your kids in the faith. In the faith.
Yeah.
All right. So you were involved in the youth group here as a teenager, and then obviously you were at another church. So how did you hear about the organist position? Do you remember this? Because it's been a minute.
Yeah. So my cousin is Shelley Kurth, who was a former pastor here.
Right.
And so it was the same time I'd transitioned from teaching at Muskegon Public Schools into a position at Norton Shores.
Okay.
Which was a positive thing in many ways. It also involved, at least temporarily, a pay cut. Honestly, there was a cut in my overall what the position was going to be at that time. So I talk about it being a God thing. I had prayed about it. It seemed like the right thing to do. It seemed like this is where I'm being led, so I did it, knowing that, okay, well, we'll see what happens. Well, then I get an email, I think it was, from Shelley must have been probably October, saying, hey, are you playing organ anywhere right now? Because our church has been in need of an organist, and I thought of you. I know you're an organist. And so she connected the dots and, introduced me to you, and then, we kind of went from there, and I was like, no, I'm not playing anywhere on Sundays right now. Yeah, I could play on Sundays right now. And the amount that I had of pay cut that I had taken was almost identical.
No
to
way.
What the
supplement
role
from,
here.
Oh my goodness.
It was like,
Oh, I didn't know that. That's so cool.
And so you go, okay, all right. Again, that's a God thing. Got it. Okay, cool. I know. So yeah, that's kind of how
You've been here for ever since. That's amazing. Oh, all right. Very cool. So you are a church musician and an organist. What do you find meaningful about corporate worship? Whenever we gather together on a Sunday morning, what does that mean for you?
I guess I've grown to think and learn more about this through the ages too. I started playing organ at church when I was 15. I can't say that I had a great understanding at that age, really, of probably the whole corporate worship idea. But I view, I think our role as musicians, as worship leaders, is to bring our best. To certainly we want to try to give the best musical product we can, but ultimately that's about disappearing behind the scenes and hopefully not being the center of attention, but helping to lead others to a place of worship. Right. There's the days of special music, in church that is not inappropriate. I mean, people appreciate listening to and just kind of sitting back and enjoying good performances, but the more and more I think that we are involving any and everybody and welcoming them into this is corporate worship. We're all an active participant. Yes. In that I think that's that's our purpose. That's our role. That's what I hope that we're
Yeah, you talked a little bit about. So music is just so powerful, right? It's so and it moves us in ways that are just not describable through words. And as an instrumentalist who creates music all of the time, how do you think through being careful about music's impact, knowing that it has such a deep effect on there? So you touched on this a little bit, but specifically as your role as an instrumentalist in corporate worship setting rather than a concert setting, there are similarities or there are differences there?
That's a hard question.
Is it? Sorry.
No, it's okay. There's, I think there are I don't want to be viewed in a church setting as a concert,
as a performer,
right? That's not really the idea. I think people appreciate it. There's always people saying, "Hey, thanks so much for playing. Oh, I enjoyed your playing so much." And by all means, I appreciate those compliments and those feedback. But I, sometimes still return to well, thanks, but did it help you worship? Did it,
Right.
how
Did we make much
how
of
did it-
Jesus in this instant? Is
yeah,
Jesus
how did
clearer
it
and
lead
bigger?
you to be able to have, how did it lead you closer to God? How
Right.
did it,
Yeah, because that's
how
the
did it
goal,
impact
right?
for you? So yeah, I mean, at church, there can be such a thing as probably being too extravagant musically, or that we don't want the limelight to be on us,
Right.
in that we're on stage in front of everybody, because it probably wouldn't work so great. I don't know. That's a fun experiment. Let's try to worship sometime from not on stage. What do you think?
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be great, an opportunity.
Can we figure
sit
that
back
out?
and be in the congregation? Those are my favorite times.
Yeah,
when someone else is leading and I can just be involved in the congregation and lift my voice.
Thoughts?
Any final thoughts about just your life and role and what you hope that the congregation receives whenever they come on a Sunday morning and they hear you play?
I guess I hope that they feel blessed. I hope that they feel that they are able to eliminate what other distractions of life are going on in their heads, and take that, that time, that hour or so of just, let me focus on the Word, focus on God, focus on the eternal things that matter.
Yes.
And I'm saying these things like to myself right now too.
Sure.
Because I can sometimes not intentionally do that because I'm so focused on just maybe the technical aspects of the music making too.
Right.
So I have to also focus to try to push all those other things out and away sometimes. But yeah, I guess that's my hope.
That's awesome.
For everyone.
That's awesome. Nick Mosley, it's such an honor and blessing to serve with you. I'm grateful for you. And that's Nick Mosley, everybody.
Thanks.